This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good morning, Tuscaloosa. Good morning, Tuscaloosa. How we doing today, West Alabama, Internet world? It's going to be a great day. It's going to be a great day. It's a Thursday on the Joe Gaither Show. You're watching us on the BamaCentral YouTube channel, watching us on the BamaCentral Facebook page, listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral. We're live here in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios right here off of McFarland Boulevard. We're going to have a lot of fun today. You can call Derek for all of your insurance needs at 205-758-3391. Like a good neighbor, Derek Daniel is there. He's got his marquee updated. He's got Theo. Did you understand the marquee? He said, "Did a couple of minutes. It's gonna be May." Are you an NSYNC guy? No, not at all.
No,
that was way before your time. That's an NSYNC reference out on the marquee. So make sure you check it out as you're driving by Highway 69 North on your way up through Tuscaloosa and Northport. You can see him just past the Tiger Rock on the left. Derek Daniel hosting the program and taking care of all of our insurance needs, taking care of my insurance needs. I know Theo signed up with him several months ago, so saving us some money. He can save you some money as well. We're also brought to you by Purple Turtle Roofing. Visit them online at roofturtle.com. You can check them out to see all their products and services, see their beautiful roofs right there online. You can schedule a free roof inspection. It doesn't matter if you've got a metal roof or a shingle roof. They can take care of you. Check them out online today at roofturtle.com. As you already noticed, we're here with our man Theo Fernandez. You can follow him at Theo Fernandez __ on the Twitter machine, writing all things Alabama athletics, particularly Alabama baseball lately for us at BamaCentral.com. Gonna have a lot of fun with Theo Fernandez, and in just a couple of minutes, we're going to have a lot of fun with Katie Windham. She's going to jump on and join us in just a couple of minutes. We got a lot. Holy smokes. Might be the easiest off-season Thursday in the world. And I know it's not technically the off-season yet because spring sports are still going, but it's the football off-season. It might be the easiest Thursday, off-season Thursday in the world, as yesterday, Kalen DeBoer received a contract extension, so that gives us some easy fodder to discuss. We can talk about that. We're going to officially lock in our picks for tonight's NFL draft, where Kadyn Proctor is going to be drafted, where Ty Simpson is going to be drafted. You can read my piece on Kadyn Proctor this morning, basically kind of a 5 things you need to know. Target audience is the new NFL team that's going to be drafting him. So if you are a Detroit Lions fan and you haven't watched any Alabama football in all of the last 3 years, that's kind of who the target audience of this article is. It's very basic. If you watched Alabama for the last 3 years, you pretty much know everything that's in there. The game started, the injuries he dealt with, the struggles against speed rushes, but, massive size, massive athleticism, 3-year starter, all that stuff is in there. Crispy package, cologne is in there, so you can read that on BamaCentral.com, and we'll have one with Ty Simpson coming out in the next couple of hours that I believe Katie Windham is putting together either late last night or early this morning. So we're basically trying to get all the first-round guys up on the website today, and then tomorrow we'll get to the day 2 guys. Here's what you need to know, your new NFL team. Here we're going to kind of do the draft that way, kind of reverse, I don't know, reverse mirror look at the draft that way. But it's going to be a big day, Theo. You excited about the draft?
The draft is just about, arguably, I think, the best day on the NFL calendar. I mean, it's absurdly fun every time. This was a draft that I thought was on the weaker side of things, but the Giants, 2 top 10 picks. I'm excited now. We got Everett's 2 voicemails as well. That'll be a fun time. We have a lot to cover. We could do 2 hours today. We won't, but we could.
Yeah, we could, honestly. Theo, let's just start with this while we went on Katie, because we'll end with Alabama softball, Alabama-Tennessee softball. Why don't we start with Alabama-Tennessee baseball? I know here's your curveball right here. I think we were ready to do that at the end, but I'm going to go ahead and pitch it up to you while we wait on her to get ready. Alabama bad game on Tuesday. We talked ad nauseum about it yesterday, so we don't need to get into the errors anymore. But we've got 3 games set against Tennessee. Starts tonight, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So if you're not into the NFL draft, you want to be deadlocked into Alabama athletics, you can do that by watching Alabama baseball as they're taking on the Vols, who have struggled without Tony Vitello, without future Alabama coach, according to Hunter Brantley. Tony Vitello. Hunter Brantley said we should go hire Tony V after the Tuesday night performance. I don't know if I'm quite there with you, Hunter, but I do love the enthusiasm. What do you think it really is the thing that needs to happen as Alabama goes into Knoxville tonight and wants to continue Tennessee's struggles, wants to get back on the right side of things for Alabama?
Well, we talk about Tennessee's struggles. At the end of the day, I mean, this team has swept Mississippi State. And yes, you're in 13th place in the conference. You're 8-10. You are 2 games out of 4th. So everything could come together so fast for a Tennessee team that on paper is as talented as just about anyone in the nation. This is serious. Like Elander, for all the criticism he faced early, Elander kind of has helped turn things around. This is a flawed but talented team that really just kind of falls into the logjam of, well, there are about 7 SEC teams that nobody knows how good they are. So Tennessee, really, a lot of the discourse around this program has been similar to that around Alabama. Like they're not struggling with the same things. It's not errors that are killing them or anything, but there is a lot of disappointment. And you look like this is a team that a lot of people do really think will turn things around late as it's, well, the coach is settling in, right? And that's so much of what it boils down to. This is such a high leverage series for both teams because this is where we're going to finally start to, I think, see a little bit of separation in the standings. This is where Alabama says, yeah, look, we just beat Tennessee on the road in a series. We are back to being in line to host a regional. We are likely going to get a first round bye at the SEC tournament versus if you lose, 3 straight series losses. That is fringe top 25 if you even stay in the rankings. That is very, very, very uphill battle to get a regional. There's a lot on the line for both of these teams, I'd say. Probably the, frankly, highest pressure series Alabama's played since the Florida-Auburn back-to-back.
All right, so last week you nailed it. You said Alabama would take 1 victory out in Austin. What's the number this weekend? 0, 1, 2, or all 3 in Knoxville?
I'm going to go 2.
Bama wins the series. That'd be a huge bounce back.
Look, Tennessee at the end of the day, yeah, there's signs of turning it around. They're so inconsistent. Alabama, the one piece of consistency that you have is the starting pitching, especially the Friday, Saturday starting pitching. And I think they're talking about Ashton Crowther, who's been so good, probably moving up into a role. So if you go like Zane Adams into Ashton Crowther, Saturday, for example, that's a game I think you have a much better shot at winning versus if it was other guys in the bullpen. I do trust the bullpen enough to string it together for one game. That's in addition to the one that you should win. So I like Alabama to take this series, and I don't know if it'll be the prettiest series win, but any win on the road, especially against Tennessee, is going to feel real nice for this program and kind of hopefully quell some of the discourse online.
Well, Theo, you can turn your attention. Oh, it looks like Katie got frozen in the backstage. Okay, never mind. We'll bring Katie in just in just a moment. There she is. Look at that. She already knew. We're going bam, just like that. Katie, you can steal a page from Katie Windham and Alabama softball's book. It doesn't have to be a pretty series victory. It's gritty, not pretty. It doesn't have to be a pretty win up in Knoxville for the baseball team. If they take 2 out of 3, it's a successful weekend.
It absolutely is. Everett comments, way to have confidence in baseball, Theo. I've not had confidence in this team in a while. You're correct, Everett. I don't know how much confidence I have for the rest of the season, but I don't know if this is confidence or more just indifference towards what Tennessee has done this season. But you have 2 very, very good starters on this Alabama team. You have a guy in Miles Upchurch who could help you steal a game a lot of people probably won't expect you to win on Sunday. Yeah, I feel pretty good about my Crimson Tide pick.
There we go. So I just messed up. I bumped Katie out. She was going to jump right back in here. I feel pretty good about the about your pick as well, because you've been following the team very, very closely all season long. Let's set it up, Katie, because we're going to bring her right in, and we're going to talk about the Kalen DeBoer contract. Yesterday, you had the Board of Trustees meeting. There we go, Katie. Now we're all on the same page. That's me messing you up on the second time. Yesterday, we were getting ready for the Board of Trustees meeting and getting ready for contract extensions for NATOs and several assistants. So basketball assistants, football assistants, that was kind of all whispered around. And as we bring Katie Windham in, follow her at Katie Windham _ on the Twitter machine. Katie, just lead us right off your reaction as the news comes out a little bit before the Board of Trustees meeting that there is a Kalen DeBoer contract on the docket, and then the reaction to the results. He gets a 7-year contract extension, basically a 2-year extension to the existing deal, and gets a raise from $10.5 to $12.5 million. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I thought the timing was really interesting that right before, shout out Mike Rodak, the machine, the robot, for somehow noticing that Kalen was added to the docket. I don't know if he was just sitting there refreshing the thing all day, but interesting timing that he was added on at the last second. Were they trying to keep it, on the DL until, or like had something just gotten resolved with Jimmy Sexton? And then they're like, okay, we're ready to make this public. Kalen signed the dotted line. I don't know what it is. But giving him a 7-year extension when there was talks at some points last year of should he be on the hot seat is, or will he be on the hot seat next year is really interesting. And I know this offseason he was pursued or, reportedly pursued by schools like Michigan, other schools that had big openings, and there's only so many elite college football coaches out there these days. But I feel like at this point, I've just become kind of numb to the numbers that you see thrown around there. Like, oh, $12.5 million, no big deal. But like when you see it put in the perspective of like he's making more than Saban ever made, which obviously, adjust for inflation or whatever you want to talk about with all that kind of stuff, finances, the way things are these days, it's pretty crazy. He's getting paid more than Saban ever got paid. And he still hasn't won a championship at Alabama. And I say still, he's only been here for 2 years. But, I mean, he hasn't won an SEC title. He's won one playoff game against, a team that was pretty beat up. And so, and it was a game that they fell behind early. And then they got demolished in the quarterfinals in a result that we only saw Saban have in the playoffs maybe one time and 8 trips or however many it was, that championship loss to Clemson and Santa Clara. So it's just things Alabama fans aren't used to seeing. In some ways I understand, and I appreciated the Board of Trustees member that he wasn't necessarily pushing back against Greg Byrne on the call, but kind of asking like, are these numbers justified basically? And I don't know if he was specifically talking about Kalen, specifically talking about Nate, or just as a whole with all the names on the call, because there were a lot of people. And Greg said, based on our research, these are the best things. And we think we have the best coaches in the country. And this is kind of what we want to do to back it up. So it's a lot of money. Good for him. That money goes a really long way in a place like Tuscaloosa, Alabama, compared to Seattle, Washington. So yeah, I think it's interesting. And we'll see. Only the future can tell us if it's justified or if Alabama maybe jumped the gun a little bit doing that 7-year extension.
Numb is the word she uses, Theo. Numb in reaction to the numbers, numb in reaction to the actual contract itself. Your reaction to Kalen's extension, like, were you surprised, or how do you feel after digesting the new contract?
My roommate asked me when we found out, we were just hanging out at home, oh, where's he ranked now among coaches? And I thought about it, and I was like, I have zero idea. I know that 3 years ago, this would have been the biggest contract in the country, but that's exactly my reaction to it. It's like, this happens every couple of years. In a decade, $12.5 million will be nothing, right? I'm sure the numbers will just continue to up and up and up. Numb is exactly the word I would use to describe this whole situation. It doesn't affect really anything. I mean, at the end of the day, like if Alabama wants to get away from Kalen DeBoer, it will have the option to. Now, this obviously won't happen after this season. I think that's what me and Joe kind of discussed pre-show. Like, yeah, you're not going to get rid of him after year 3, I don't think anyone expected that to happen to begin with. But if, things were to go off the rails, right? Year 4, year 5, year 6, this contract really changes very little as far as the logistics of moving on from a guy if you really needed to.
And I mean, it doesn't really change if there's some really rich school that really wants him. They'll pay whatever. That's just the way college football is. You're right, Theo, that these numbers basically mean nothing. It used to be a big deal. I remember when like Saban was like, oh, he crossed 7 million, he crossed 8 million, he's the highest paid coach. And now it's like these numbers just like, I mean, even when I was looking at how much Kane's making now as a defensive coordinator, I can't remember. I think his year 3, I think it was 2.65 million. I could be off. It could be in the 3 million range. I'd have to go back and look. I remember, I mean, that's what head coaches used to make. And that's what your defensive coordinator is making, is millions of dollars a year. It's crazy.
I could be misremembering. Wasn't it like a huge story when Sark got paid $1 million as an assistant? Wasn't that a massive deal?
First assistant over $1 million. Yes, Kane is at 2.3 in the first year of this next deal. He's got a 3-year deal. He's now at 2.3, 2.5, and 2.65 the next 3 years. Call the defense. Hey man, just watch some tape and call the defense. Ask your father to help you out. Have a little family time and figure out how to call some defense. And not a bad gig in Tuscaloosa. $2.5 million to recruit and call defense. Sign me up. Sign me up. Katie Windham, thank you so much for joining us today. We haven't had you on since before A-Day, so I just want to clear the room and just get your reaction to A-Day. You can take it any direction you want. You've listened to people take it many different directions. This is your time. What did you make of Alabama's spring football game?
Yeah, I feel like we watched it somewhat from our vantage point, and then really Kalen kind of threw a whole wrench into it in his post-game, talking about Austin Mack was a little dinged up or whatever he said, or had been dealing with some stuff and then said he was dinged up. And so then it kind of reframes everything you just saw, because I think, the biggest thing people had their eye on and kind of the biggest takeaway was how much better Keelan Russell looked than Austin Mack. And then he says that Austin was dealing with some things. So I don't know. It's hard to know how much to take from what we saw at A-Day a couple of weeks ago. Like I kind of said it in the immediate aftermath, and it's obviously not like we can go back and watch it and have more takeaways, but kind of one of my biggest takeaways or maybe concerns for Alabama is the running game still doesn't look great. And I think kind of your biggest, I'm not sure the word I'm looking for here is like not pushback, but answer to that, I guess, would be like, it's a new offensive line. It's still probably not your ideal offensive line that you're going to have in the fall. These guys are also figuring it out together. But then it's kind of like last year, we saw all year long them changing up that offensive line, trying to find the right combination, and it just never worked, and they could never really run the ball. So I don't know. I think it's a little concerning that the run game looked like it did, and I think you can look at the pro side that the defensive line looked pretty good. Alabama's defense looked good. So, no team's ever won when they score 0 points. I'm not predicting the defense makes a lot of shutouts, but I think Alabama is going to be pretty good on that side of the ball. There's a little more continuity on that side, I feel like, besides inside linebackers, which I think that's probably my biggest question left on defense is who one of the starters is going to be with Caleb Woodson, but who's the other going to be. So, yeah, it was nice on A-Day to be able to see the team finally a little bit, see more than we've seen all spring, but it's kind of, I'm not a super great X's and O's mind, and so trying to see that live from the vantage point of down low in the end zone with no replays and not being able to go back and watch anything, it's kind of hard for me to make any sweeping takeaways. But really, I mean, that's the only chance we're going to get to see them in any sort of game-like action until that season opener against East Carolina on September 5th, I believe. So
135 days away before taking on the Pirates right there in Bryant-Denny Stadium. We'll have a lot of time to break down and to get into more football storylines with Katie Windham throughout the summer. Katie, I really want to take you in multiple different directions today, so I appreciate your versatility. Make sure you follow Katie Windham at Katie Windham _ on the Twitter machine. Let's go out to the voicemail line. Everett left 2 voicemails this week, one specifically to women's basketball, and then the other was about the NFL draft. So So we'll save the NFL and about the Kalen contract. So it's got double questions right there. We'll go right into the first one where he addresses the Morgan Wallen concert and women's basketball. He's got a question for Katie, and then we'll just take things as we go. We'll talk softball with Katie. We'll talk NFL draft here in just a little bit. I am looking right there, video file for the first voicemail. You can leave a voicemail at 205-462-7340, extension 800 to be a part of the program. We would love to take your phone calls on whatever you have, questions, comments, queries, or concerns. Here is Everett with a voicemail for Katie.
Hey, guys. It's Everett from Marion. I know that y'all kind of touched on this a little bit today, but Theo and Joe, who would y'all like to see in Bryant-Denny Stadium at a concert? And question for Katie, can you talk about the new upgrades for Alabama women's basketball that was mentioned on Head Coach tonight and Head Coach on Monday night? And thank you very much, and roll Tide.
There we go. Katie Windham on Monday. Theo and I talked about the Morgan Wallen concert, and we both kind of threw out a bunch of different names of new artists. Theo wants to see George Strait. He laughed at me for suggesting Sturgill Simpson, but we both have our musical taste. What was your just general thoughts on Morgan Wallen? And if you got to direct or pick the next artist for Bryant-Denny Stadium, who would you throw out there?
I think I guess it's a net positive for the city of Tuscaloosa and the athletic department that he performed all the money that brought in. I'm not a huge country person. I'm not like opposed to it. I just don't really listen to it. So I don't really have a strong opinion about Morgan Wallen either way. It seems like from what I saw on social media, people really enjoyed it, that it was an entertaining concert. So I'm all for that. I'm not really here to, rain on anyone's parade. As far as who I would like to see, I'm not a huge, I'm pretty boring when it comes to music. We were talking about this down at my little sister's bachelorette trip last weekend. All my top songs on Spotify every year are either Christian or musicals. So, I don't have a lot of variety. I guess in the spirit of Coachella, I would say Justin Bieber. Let's get Justin Bieber and Bryant-Denny. If you had Bieber playing his songs off an iPad from YouTube, I'd be in the front row. I'm dead with you. I would. Did you see that at Coachella, Theo?
No, I didn't.
So he takes his he goes to like his YouTube channel and pulls up the karaoke of him when he was like 13, 14, like young boy, like right when that's how he got discovered. Is who was it? One of the popular R&B. Usher, wasn't it? Yeah. So one of the popular R&B guys found him off YouTube. And so at Coachella this year, 2 weeks ago, he just pops up YouTube and just sings along with his 14-year-old self and was just harmonizing. So it's like him as a child and him as an adult man. It was artistically beautiful.
I'll take Sturgill Simpson over that one.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that. Thank you. Give me a little credit. Sturgill's a good artist.
How about Sturgill opening for Johnny Blue Skies?
Ooh. I'm game on that. Yeah, I'm in the front row right there. Katie, what about women's basketball? Pauline Love is remaking her roster right now. If you don't know about the roster or these upgrades that he's referring to, that's A-OK. I've got at least one player on the roster that they brought in from Cincinnati. I think Theo's got another player they brought in that he likes. So what do you make of Pauline Love's first couple of weeks on the job?
Yeah, it seems like from people that know more than me about the women's basketball landscape that she's done a good job so far in the portal. I don't know if she specifically was talking about upgrades as in like their facilities on Hey Coach. I wasn't listening. I could imagine her talking about that. With basketball, men's basketball getting their new facility, women's basketball will no longer have to practice in Foster at all, because I think they'll be able to kind of slide into the old men's facilities. And so everything will kind of get to be in Coleman, which is a big upgrade for them. Obviously, it'll be where they play. It'll be where their locker room is. It'll be where all their stuff is. And so I think that helps her in recruiting, is that, look, you have nicer facilities than what they had in Foster and having to practice in that gym sometimes. But yeah, I keep getting emails in my inbox from Anna Nobles, the women's basketball SID, about portal prospects they're signing. They were able to retain Ace Austin, which I know was kind of what a lot of people were worried about when it was announced that Christy Curry was leaving. Seems like she's pretty loyal to the state of Alabama. And Pauline Love, she got a pretty nice, facilities. That's what I kind of figured once I heard your question, that when her talking about upgrades, that's probably what it was. Because, when I met with, it wasn't just me meeting with her. That sounds like I had like an exclusive with her. The day she had her opening press conference, and I asked her about, what do you got to do to get more butts in seats, basically, to get more people invested in women's basketball in the Tuscaloosa community. She said that she's going to open practice up to anyone that they can come watch. She wants you to feel like you can bring your family, that they can come sit in there and listen. And, she said that she had a coach tell her one time, I think it was somebody at Arkansas, that, a game is never going to be dead silent. There's going to be distractions, kids screaming. So why not practice like that and have that in there? So she wants the community to really feel like they're part of the Alabama women's basketball family. And I think, I think she has some strategies to get more butts and seats in Coleman, because I think a lot of times you kind of start to hear the discourse again of, they should just move back to Foster Auditorium, because, frankly, it does look horrible a lot of the times at women's basketball games when you can count every person in the stands because it's that spread out. And so I think that's kind of one of her bigger tasks on top of building the roster, is getting the fan base more engaged. Because if we talked about before, Alabama fans will support women's sports. Joe, you were at Rhodes last weekend. You see what they do for that. Gymnastics has not had the best attendance the last couple of years, but it's still probably at least double, sometimes triple of what women's basketball has. So they will support women's sports and teams that win. And so I think you just have to find the right person that can kind of do that. And it seems like she may be that person.
That's a good idea for her. I don't want to air out a complaint, but with how closed off the athletic department is, and they are, I think that's a great change. I'm gonna have to go watch some women's basketball practice here and there, just for the sake of like supporting a positive change. So I think that's a great idea. We'll see. You've got a player that you like. Let me tell you about the Cincinnati forward, and you'll tell them about the other transfer portal target that you like. I like Kylie Torrance, because you lost Essence Cody in the transfer portal, and that's just what happens with coaching changes. I don't really think there's anything deeper than that. Coaching change, Essence Cody looks for a new home.
She's somebody that could have even left without a coaching change too.
Right. And so Alabama goes out and gets Kylie Torrance from Cincinnati, 6'2", rising sophomore. So young lady. So she's got 3 years of eligibility left. She averaged 7.7 points, 6.9 rebounds, 1.1 blocks, and a steal per game this past year in 28 games for the Cincinnati Bearcats. Now, Cincinnati wasn't really that good this year, but she enters the portal and gives Alabama somebody that is productive in the post already. So I think that's a good get for Alabama, and you should expect Kylie Torrance to be contributing for the women's basketball team this year.
Yeah, the other pickup I saw, which I don't know if it's the word I would use on this, just because I'm not trying to air it out, but Amira Anderson, guard from Boston College. Just Boston College women's basketball evidently wasn't a great program. But you got a 5'11" guard who averaged 7.9 points and under an assist per game, shooting 33% from the field. I didn't see enough to see what happened? Why weren't we passing? But very ball dominant player. Could be interesting next to Ace Austin. Could be the leader of the bench unit. We'll see how that unfolds. But a freshman, you got 3 years to develop her into something.
What do you think about going to open women's basketball practice?
I think that's a cool idea over there.
Coach DeBoer, what about open men's football practice?
What if they just did that once a month? Imagine how wild that would be. What a concept.
That'd be insane. You sell, what's the price point for Yale, Alabama? $200 practice tickets, $300 practice tickets. Where's the because you said I was crazy with A-Day. Is that way crazy? And that's fine.
That's the thing.
What's the price point for practice?
It should be an affordable experience. It should be a $20.
I don't think people would pay more than they pay for a game. The face value tickets for the non-conference games are $45. I don't think people would pay $200 to come to practice.
I'd be paying more for practice just so I can hear Coach Womack get after some people.
Well, the richest boosters get to go to practice anyway.
Yeah. And they're paying for it one way or the other.
I think the average fan would pay $20 to go watch practice.
$20 is a steal. You'd have a wait list. You'd have a huge wait list.
I think the average football fan would be kind of bored once they get in there and realize, okay, wait, this is what we're doing for $20.
Well, that's why they're the average football fan.
I think $20 is a very fair price.
They're gonna see
take off work in the middle of the day to be there, and there's nowhere for them to sit really. But they like the time to do it would be maybe once in the spring and once in fall camp, because I understand whatever when you're prepping for a specific team, when you're scouting them, when you're drawing up plays. I understand not wanting people in there, but like in the fall camp or spring when you're just working on getting better, installing stuff, like you would think that would be an okay time to let people, especially in the spring. You're so far removed from the season. You don't even have your full roster yet because of injuries and because some freshmen that are still going to come in. Like that would be a great opportunity, but will that happen? Probably not.
Yeah, I think that's a pipe dream for all of us. But I think if I were Alabama, I would be working with Kalen DeBoer to figure out, because you got to make it a price point where not everyone's going, because you get too many people. I mean, you turn people away. There's, like you said, there's not a place to sit. If you're paying the $150, $200, like what you're in for. It's a 2-hour standing affair where you're going to hear language that you're not really that isn't PG.
That'd be criminal to charge anything over like $50.
Well, maybe so. Call me a criminal. Let's keep going here. I got one more voicemail, and I think the other voicemail leads me into the last real big topic for the day. We're saving softball for the last, Katie, because we started with Alabama-Tennessee baseball. We'll end with Alabama-Tennessee softball. Let's go to the voicemail line one more time. Everett has a question that's going to set up our last little bit of conversation here.
Hey guys, it's Everett from Marion. I know that I've already recorded another voicemail for Katie, but question for you two. Who do you think will what number do you think Ty Simpson will go in the NFL draft? And I want your thoughts on Kalen DeBoer contract extension. Thank you very much, and looking forward to hearing from y'all. Thank you. Roll Tide.
You the man, Everett Osmer, joining us on the voicemail line. And anybody can at 205-462-7340, extension 800. We've already kind of talked about the Kalen contract extension. So moving into the second part of that conversation, which is tonight's NFL draft. Katie, we've been going back and forth. Theo is standing firm on Ty Simpson is a first-round draft pick. I'm joining him on that. I think he will be selected in the first round. And with that being the take, let's decide who is taking Kadyn Proctor and who is taking Ty Simpson tonight. You've got lots of tackles in this draft, and you've got lots of teams that need a tackle in this draft. One of them being at 25, being my Chicago Bears. So we'll see if that ends up happening tonight or not. But lots of teams need a tackle. Only few teams need a quarterback. Katie, what have you made of this draft season? And as Theo's thinking of his final answer, who do you think are the teams that are going to be, or if you want to make a one big stab, who do you predict drafts Kadyn Proctor and Ty Simpson?
I'm going to be completely honest. I have not kept up a ton with the NFL draft, or I don't really keep up with the NFL outside of fantasy in the fall. So it's wild. I feel like, though, as far as from what I kind of have kept up with, I feel like we haven't seen this many, like, the pendulum swing so much on where Alabama guys could go in the first round. Like, it's normally like, okay, this guy we know is going to be a top 5 pick. This guy's going to be top 10. Like, this guy's for sure first rounder. And it's kind of crazy how, like, Kadyn Proctor has waffled from being, like, maybe top 10 with the Browns to, like, might not even be in the first round. Like, and then Ty Simpson, it's kind of because there's not a lot of teams that need a quarterback. It's like he's not for sure first round, but he's going up there for the draft. So I think he will be. But it has been a different lead up to the draft for Alabama prospects, I feel like, than it normally is. And I think that kind of maybe, have we seen that bear out on the field, that there hasn't been as many surefire first round picks the last couple of years? Is that part of like, And that's not a shot against Kalen DeBoer. It's not a shot against anybody, because, I mean, these are, for the most part, the players that Nick Saban recruited, which I don't know if y'all saw his comments about Proctor yesterday and McAfee, but I was like, yikes, he wasn't exactly giving him a glowing review. Did y'all see that?
I saw parts of it, and I saw the machine, the machine writing his tweets from it. So yeah. I saw the quotes from that.
Yeah, him saying that Like, he's talented, physical, big. The issue with him is he's not a bad person. He'll do whatever you ask him to do once you get him in the building. But when he's not in the building, he might get a little overweight. He might not come in the best shape. And it's like, so
these are the kinds of things you've got to manage with him, but I think they're manageable. In other words, he's not a self-starter.
right.
That's going to go out there and get himself in great shape and come to camp like you want to. But if you can get him to come to camp and get him there and get him to ready to go, then I think that's a huge negative. I don't think that's a huge negative for the guy. And I think he's going to be a really good player. And if he can't play tackle, he would be one hell of a guard. There's no downside in taking that guy. Sorry, Coach, that is a downside. That's a pretty big downside to me.
If you're
Katie,
using first-round money for a tackle and then he's not good enough for tackle, that's.
Since everybody listens to the Believe in Monsters podcast, they know that I am terrified of taking Kadyn Proctor because of that self-starter. He's going to get, man, that deep dish pizza is calling. Those hot dogs. Oh, man, it terrifies me. So, Katie, if you had to put your hypothetical $1 somewhere, are you putting it on the Browns at number 9? Are you putting it on maybe the Lions at 17 for Kadyn Proctor? We also like the Vikings. I think they're at 20. They're at 18. They're right past the Lions. What are you thinking if you had to take your hypothetical $1, and we'll all take it with a grain of salt?
I'm going to put it on the Bears just for you.
Ha! Love it. I love it.
I was about to do that if you didn't. I'll be nice and I'll go 24 Cleveland Browns, 1 pick ahead.
I like that, Swick, Theo. I'm going to give him to the Detroit Lions at 17. They just lost a tackle. I'm giving it to the Lions. I think that Dan Campbell's going to get in there and annoy him into being a great player. Come on, put that chicken wing down. He's going to get after him. Dan Campbell biting kneecaps. All right, you got anything else you want to say about Ty Simpson? You want to predict where he's going to go?
Yeah, we're predicting Ty's spot.
Yeah, why not? I mean, this is your take. I'm trailing you.
The last time I went and made a very profound take involving the number 16, it did not work out very well for me. So I need Ty to go top 16, and I do believe it will happen. One truth about this NFL draft is that the Arizona Cardinals want to trade down from number 3. Another is that teams view Jeremiah Love as a generational can't-miss running back, which stop me if you've heard that one before, because it feels like we're on the 7th generational running back of this generation.
But Jeremiah is one.
Jeremiah is one. And you know who really thinks he is one, and you know who's reckless enough to trade up for a running back? Jerry Jones at number 10. The Cowboys trade up from 10 to 3, select Jeremiah Love, and at number 10, the Cardinals select Ty Simpson, jumping ahead of the Rams, Jets, and Steelers. Top 10 pick, Ty Simpson.
Write it in a storybook. I love it. Katie, you are you going to co-sign the story, or do you see it going a different way tonight?
I got that was a great story. Someone co-sign it.
That's all right. I mean, I can't top it. No, but I unfortunately don't think that's going to happen. I think it's great. I love it. I'll be pulling for that for sure. I think he's going to be a first rounder. He's going to be selected tonight. I think that he's going to be selected at about 26 or so. I think you see that. I think you see the Bills at 26 as a great trade up opportunity from 34. The Cardinals are at 34 tomorrow night. I think from 34 moving up to 26, just after the Bears. Bills are gonna move on out of the first round, and I think that Ty Simpson will be taken at 26. That's I'm gonna call
we're
that.
We're both going Arizona.
Yeah, I'm going Arizona. Yeah, I'm feel really good about that. And I feel really good about him being a first round pick. Don't really feel good about him being a 16 or better, but that's okay. First round is still like really solid, especially.
I think Arizona might be one of the teams I think that never took an Alabama player in the first round during the Saban era.
Really?
Deontay Thompson was a late round pick, or Rashad Johnson was a late round pick. Teams. The Bears never did. The Bears took Eddie Jackson in the 4th round. You got what are the Cardinals? The Cardinals took Ed Stinson late. The Cardinals. That's all I've got. I've got Deontay Thompson. I got Ed Stinson. I got Rashad Johnson. That's all I got.
No Alabama.
Oh, Kenyon Drake was a trade. Was a trade from the Dolphins. That's all I got.
Right,
that's all I got.
So we could be, since technically Ty was a Saban prospect, we could be our Saban recruit.
closing that loop right there. So we'll see if the hey, last thing on Ty Simpson, I got the warm fuzzies when I started reading those stories that Tyler Booker is going up to the draft to hang out with Ty Simpson in the green room. Katie, just that relationship and how viral that clip's going to go if he does go in the first round of Tyler and Ty jumping around in the green room and celebrating.
Yeah, that'll be sweet. Booker's just such a nice guy, such an enthusiastic guy. And I think they had like a genuine friendship, obviously. Like sometimes I think some of that stuff is like played up, but I think theirs is for real a thing. And that'll be awesome. Also, great memory, Joe. I just looked up Christie's thing, which I don't know how updated this is, but the only players that Arizona even ever drafted was Rashad Johnson in 2009, Ed Stinson in 2014, and Deontay Thompson in 2019.
3 for 3, boy. Love that. Appreciate that. Go ahead and look that up for us real quick. Let's pivot to the last thing, and that's going to be Alabama softball. Before we get our preview on Alabama and Tennessee softball, we want to remind everybody about Purple Turtle Roofing. At Purple Turtle Roofing, we're not just another contractor. We're your neighbor and your advocate when it comes to protecting your home or business. With years of hands-on experience, top-tier certification, and a commitment to excellence, we've built a reputation as Alabama's go-to roofing solution. We specialize in residential roofing, commercial roofing, emergency storm repairs, full-on roof replacements, insurance claim support, and more. You can visit us online today at roofturtle.com or call us at 877-PT-ROOF-5. We'll come out and give you a free roof inspection. Make sure that your roof is good to go to give you the peace of mind that you deserve. Check us out online today at roofturtle.com or call us at 877-787-6635. Purple Turtle Roofing, roofing with heart, built to last. All right, we're hanging out in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios with Theo Fernandez and Katie Windham. You follow them at Theo Fernandez _ and Katie Windham _ We started the program with Alabama, Tennessee baseball. Let's end it with Alabama and Tennessee softball. The softball ladies are playing a Saturday, Sunday, Monday series, so they are trying to avoid the draft coverage. They're really getting on ESPN2 on Sunday, so great, national TV right there. Was in Rhodes Stadium, just as you mentioned. I saw game 1 and 2 live in person last week against Kentucky, the worst team in the SEC. On Friday, they looked like the worst team in the SEC. On Saturday, a little more competitive, had a little more bite, and had a little bit more drama in Rhodes Stadium. But Alabama won and swept on Sunday, so that's 6 consecutive SEC series wins. Really, really rolling in conference play. Katie, what do we expect this weekend up in Knoxville?
Yeah, this is probably going to be the series that's the most evenly matched in some ways that Alabama's played in. Both teams have elite pitching staffs. Both have, I think, probably if you look at it statistically, I would guess. I know Tennessee is top in the conference, and I would guess Alabama is second, kind of an ERA, things like that. Tennessee has Carlin Pickens, who I believe has been SEC pitcher of the year the last 2 years, and she's kind of been roughed up a couple times this year, but they also have Sage Marjeko, so they have multiple options in the circle. And Alabama obviously has been very strong pitching as well, but Jocelyn Brisky, she's probably the front runner for SEC pitcher of the year this year for Alabama. And then Vic Moden's been pretty good. Has been roughed up a little bit as a freshman, but Tennessee's offense has struggled a lot in SEC play. Tennessee was the number 1 team in the country for the first probably 6 weeks of the season. They did not lose in conference play, and then they've had some struggles in SEC play. You talk about Kentucky being the worst team in the SEC. Ole Miss is the next to worst as far as record, but they have 2 wins in SEC play, and both those wins came at Tennessee. So Tennessee has been beatable at home. Ole Miss, even though they've only won twice, they've just had a tough draw of it because they've been competitive in most of their games, and they just can't either close it out or can't quite get over the hump, but they did in Knoxville. So, and then I think, let me see, somebody sent me what Tennessee in their midweek, they only beat, let's see, what team even is this? I can't tell the logo. Some Radford maybe 2-1 in the midweek. So their offense has been sputtering a little bit, which is a good sign for Alabama. It'll be kind of, will Alabama's offense step up and make the key plays, get the key hits, drive in the runs when they have people on base, or will they even need – there's been a lot of times this year where they have not scored by just knocking people in when they need to, but hitting the home run out of the park, a bunch of solo home runs, which at times has been a problem that they have not been able to pass the bat down, but it's a positive sign that you're hitting home runs, but you also need to be able to string together at bats, which has kind of been the opposite of past years. You look at last time they played at Knoxville was in Super Regionals in 2024, which you could argue was, I don't want to be like too negative, but it's just like true, like the worst Alabama team record wise. Since like the early days of Patrick Murphy, like they had a losing record in SEC play. The offense was horrible. Your RBI leader at the end of the season had 30 RBIs that year for the whole year, 30. Kalen. And somebody probably hit 30 RBIs on this team, like by the time SEC play started. So that team was just not. Caleb Bieber was phenomenal in the circle that year, but the offense was dreadful. That's just how it was. But Alabama beat Tennessee in Super Regionals to advance to the Women's College World Series. That's just how good Murph is, that one of your worst teams still makes it to OKC. And they won that series in Tennessee by, I can't remember if it was game 2. I think it was game 2 that Riley Valentine hit the grand slam in the first inning. And I think that was their only run scored. And then in game 3, Kristen White, I think, had a little single. They kind of caused chaos in the base pass. And I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case this weekend. I think Alabama can hit home runs and score in different ways. And it's a really big series because, I mean, Alabama is tied with Oklahoma at the top of the SEC standings. Alabama has this series at Tennessee, and then they finish with South Carolina at home, who's one of the worst teams in the SEC. They should sweep that at home, which you say should. They almost lost to Kentucky in that game, too, last week, down 2. I think so. I mean, anything can happen in college football. They lost to Stanford last week, but they should sweep South Carolina at home. Oklahoma finishes with, I believe, I think they have Georgia at home this week, and then they go to A&M. I think that's what it is. I know that it's Georgia and A&M. I'm not sure where it's at, but that's tougher than what Alabama has. And so basically, I think if they can win this series in Knoxville this weekend, they have a very, very, very good shot at winning their first SEC regular season title since 2019. So there's a lot on the line. There's a lot on the line for national seeding. They were, I think, barring like them losing the next 6 games, I think they're pretty much locked as a Supers host. But I think winning this series probably, if they win this series, that cements being a Supers host and probably a top 3 host. They're probably that anyway, but that loss at Stanford kind of put a big negative on their NCAA resume. So there's a lot on the line this week. This is a big rivalry in all sports, but it really is in softball too. They've been 2 of the best programs in the SEC. Alabama's obviously had a lot more success historically, but it should be a good one in Knoxville. And yeah, it's their Saturday, Sunday, Monday series because it's the Monday night softball thing that they do on SEC Network. So it's a little bit different schedule, but big series.
Katie, away from the series real quick, something you reminded me of that I've been meaning to ask you. If you're able to bet on SEC softball awards, would Vic Moten be the favorite for SEC Freshman of the Year?
No, because there's a girl from Oklahoma that has set the Oklahoma single season home run record as a and they're still, her name's I think Kendall Wells, her last name's Wells. But yeah, no, that girl. Well, it depends on if Oklahoma nominates her for Player of the Year, Freshman of the Year, but I'm not sure if you can be both. I think you can. But yeah, no freshman has a shot outside of her. And there's been she's obviously done well this year, but there's been a couple that softball has been so battered dominant this year that there's a couple of freshmen that have just done really well. I think she would be Alabama's Freshman of the Year, obviously, but she doesn't really have a shot at SEC Freshman of the Year.
Is she like the all SEC freshman team pitcher?
I'm trying to think. I would think so. I'm trying to think of other freshmen around the SEC. I'm trying to remember if there's been any that Alabama have faced this year that have been good. Texas doesn't really use a freshman. Tennessee doesn't really a lot. Florida relies on Keegan Rothrock a lot. I would think she'll definitely make all SEC team, I would think.
There we go.
Well, it's going to be very, very exciting this weekend. You can follow all the coverage at BamaCentral.com. Follow all the coverage at Katie Windham _ on the Twitter machine. Alabama getting going Saturday at 3, Sunday at 3. You'll be able to see that on ESPN2. And then, as we mentioned, Monday at 6 p.m. on SEC Network. Katie, any big draft celebrations? You already said you're not an NFL lady outside of the fantasy football, and that's okay. But Theo and I support really bad teams or bad teams lately. And so the draft is like NFL Christmas. It's an exciting day for us. I know your husband, he supports a really good, successful team. Is he excited? Are y'all going to have a draft extravaganza, do some cooking, have a party, do anything related to the draft this weekend?
No, we're not. He is he like is somebody that's like in all sports is like almost more interested in the off season than the actual season. Like, who are we going to draft? Who are we going to trade for? Like, so last night he was looking at a million different mock drafts for the Patriots. I think he said he wants a tackle, not Kadyn Proctor, but a tackle. No, we will not be doing anything to celebrate. Actually, tonight we will. I'm assuming the draft starts like 7.
I think it's at 7, yes.
The first round normally lasts like 3 hours, even though it's only 32 picks. But yeah, I won't even probably be home for the beginning of the draft. So, but I'll have it pulled up on my phone or computer where we are. If I was having a party, y'all would be invited. All the listeners to the Joe Gaither show would be invited, but maybe next year, maybe that would be something fun. It is an exciting, I think for NFL fans, it's kind of the biggest, maybe, would y'all agree with this, biggest overlap of college and NFL fans in like one night, because it's like you're passing on your favorite college players to the NFL. So I think it's always exciting, especially for Alabama fans, because there's normally, at least the last 20-ish years, there's been a lot of Alabama guys drafted to kind of get to see their dreams come true. That they worked so hard for. And this is still the really exciting stage before they've even taken a snap in the NFL and maybe realized they're a bust. It's all joy tonight. It's all joy the next 3 days.
The last thing I have for you, though, is you were talking about Tuesday, Bark in the Park. We already talked about the baseball game and how dismal and unsatisfactory it was. How did Rooney enjoy Bark in the Park? That's what I really want to know.
He loved it. He loves attention. So anyone there petting him, they gave a nice little goodie bag this year. In the past, it's just been a bandana. They gave it had a tennis ball, several milk bones in it, a bandana, and then they gave the owners these little like tumblers for your drinks. And so he had a great time. Yeah, he didn't love the baseball game. Actually, he likes UAB in Alabama. So, but. Yeah, it was a good event. There's a lot of dogs there. Obviously, a lot out in right field, but there was a lot in the stands too. So, to ask, I know you are talking about baseball a little bit at the beginning, but Theo, and I know you said the last couple of weeks you've been concerned. Is Tuesday just kind of a continuum of the concern, or do you think this team is like in a downward slide for the rest of the year? Or do you think it's something that can turn around and still be like a regionals host maybe, or do you think that's out of the picture?
I do not think Alabama will be hosting a regional. I think we're going to continue the slip downward spiral, which is ironic because I actually did pick Alabama to win this series against Tennessee. That more so boils down to Tennessee's own inconsistency as really not a good baseball team itself. Tuesday's loss, like the idea of losing a midweek game to UAB is whatever. It doesn't matter. Every team, as you know, loses midweeks all the time. You committed 5 errors. There have been 6 games in the SEC where teams in the conference have had 5 or more errors in a game. Alabama has 3 of those 6 games. I mean, it's just been ugly, and these errors are costing the teams in big moments. I mean, you look at the bullpen and the inconsistency, and you never know what you're going to get when you remove your starter. And most of the time, the starter throws a phenomenal game, and then you turn it over to the bullpen.
How upsetting.
And it is just 7th inning. You know the collapse is coming. You're sitting there, and you know exactly what's going to happen, which I was actually stunned on Sunday when Alabama's bullpen actually hung on for the win. But no, there are too many flaws that have plagued this team over and over again this season. I haven't even addressed the bats, which have been dreadful at times too, and striking out 49 times in one series, which is the most in program history. Just some ugly, ugly stuff. And it sucks because you know there's so much potential on this team. You know, this is a team that is really 1 or 2 pieces away from being right in there in the mix for hosting a regional, going to Omaha. And it just doesn't appear that that'll be the case. I don't be surprised if Alabama, 3rd game of the regional is done.
Oh. Well, We'll follow that the rest of the week. It's going to be a huge diamond weekend with Alabama taking on Tennessee in both baseball and softball. You can follow Theo Fernandez for the baseball side of things and Katie Windham for the softball side of things. We appreciate both of them hanging out with us on the Joe Gaither Show today. We'll be doing all kinds of NFL draft coverage on BamaCentral.com the rest of the day and evening and into the weekend. We're going to have a big show tomorrow. Hopefully, we're going to try to see if Henry Sklar wants to catch up with us and talk about the Eagles and talk about all the day 2 guys. Jeremy Bernard, does he have any shot, percentage chance of him getting drafted tonight? 1%, 2%?
20%.
Okay, that's good.
I think it could happen.
Okay, well, that'd be wild. We're not ready for it, but we can be at BamaCentral.com. So we're excited for all of the draft eligible guys, and we're going to talk to you again tomorrow all about the draft. We will recap a baseball game. We will get into, I guess, more contract stuff and discussions. All kinds of things happening this week. You saw college football playoff expansion, maybe not. 24 teams, government getting involved. We don't know. We got a lot more to talk about the rest of the week, and we'll do it right here on the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, BamaCentral.com.